Hi and welcome to the Wilson Chala's YouTube channel. We are dedicated to preserving and sharing Zambia's rich history through topics like culture, politics, finance, and education. From traditional ceremonies to trending stories, parliament proceedings, and everyday voices, we bridge Zambia's past to its future. Join us in building a timeless digital archive. And don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and now let us explore the story you've been waiting for.
Leaving a nation since the passing of Michael Sata, the former president of Zambia.
Here is what happened.
In honor of this remarkable event.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your trusted source for balanced commentary, analysis, documentaries, and latest development from Zambia and beyond. In today's video, we'll carefully examine today's topic by separating the facts from opinions, providing context, and helping you understand why this story matters. I encourage you to watch until the end because the last section always contains the most important concept that you need to watch. Now let's start the video.
It's on my roster of items to discuss. Binwell is one of them. Now, before I get into Binwell deeply, let me make it very clear that Binwell Mpundu, apparently he's a top dog in the Tonse Alliance. So it's very difficult to separate Binwell from Tonse Alliance. Many of you know that Tonse Alliance is a conglomeration of PF degenerates. Tonse Alliance is simply a congregation of political delinquents. That's all it is. It's just a group of political deplorables. That is what they are. They've always stood for chaos. They've always stood for unbridled nonsense. So my point is this: Binwell is a part of a group formerly known as the Patriotic Front. They simply changed their names. They removed the color of green and they wore the color of blue, and they simply put a new face to their already existing character. Now, let me make this point and let me make it very clear. The reason Tonse Alliance seemed to have all of a sudden, remember there was a time there was a bit of a lull. You know the word lull? There was a bit of a low point in the opposition space. That was mainly because the PF were disintegrated. They broke up into 30,000 different pieces. So the core loyal base of the Patriotic Front, they didn't know where to go because their party had been fragmented, had been completely discombobulated. Miles Sampa took a piece of it. Chavinga took a piece of it. 38,000 other people took pieces of it. So there was a remnant. There was a remnant of people that were grabbing at each piece of the PF. Now, the core base, the base supporters of the PF, they didn't have anywhere to go because their party had been fragmented. And then all of a sudden, the party regrouped under a different name. Same players, different game. Same players, different facade. A facade nonetheless, but a different facade. Because if you look at the people that comprise PF, it's basically the same people. Davis Mwila. Where's Davis Mwila from? PF. Nkanduluo. Where is Nkanduluo from? PF. Kennedy Kamba. Where is the Kennedy Kamba from? PF. All these players, Binwell Mpundu, who does he align himself with? Brian Mundubile, where I call him Brian 1.5 billion unfinished roads Mundubile. That's his name. You want to go ahead and put that in the comments. That's the name I call him. His name is Brian 1.5 billion undelivered roads Munduile. Where's he from? From the PF. Makebi Zulu. Where the hell's he from? PF. So it's basically PF with a different name and a different color, but it's the same people. The Word of God says, can a leopard change its spots? The answer is no. Can an Ethiopian change?
We just have to pause this video. According to the new YouTube policy, we just have to leave a significant commentary in the video. So if you enjoy this video, please remember to subscribe, like and share with your friends and families. Turn on the notification button so that you are able to see the video always when I post. And don't forget to watch this video up to the end for you to enjoy the full content of our videos. Leave a positive comment in the comment sections. It helps us to improve our channel rather than bad comments. This video will continue very shortly. Stay with me. Continue watching the video.
There's a lot at stake for some of us. Our lives are at stake. Not to be kapwe mikoshipama elections aya. We are ready to die and we are ready to kill. Just in case we've been beating about this push or we've not made it very clear. For this election, people like me, Nkana MP Binwell Mpundu, I am ready to be killed. I'm also ready to kill.
The shade of his skin. No. At the core, same people. So rest assured that when Binwell Mpundu speaks, I see Stacy there. When Binwell Mpundu speaks, in effect, he's echoing the sentiments of that defunct political party, the Patriotic Front, in a new form, reincarnated into this so-called Tonse, NRPUP S5 something or other. You know, there's so many letters in NRPUP STP5 LGBT community that I literally lose track of what their real name is. And can I tell you, before I finish that thought, can I tell you the number one thing that annoys me about the NRPUPT TS5 LGBT plus up and down community? What annoys me about them, because, you know, we campaign, every day we campaign. And let me tell you, campaigning is hard work. Oh my goodness. Is there any, the other day I was with Lima constituency, UPND, aspiring MP. Lee Talala, meaning Lee doesn't sleep. A campaign a few day in Abuka Fokoro chill. He campaigns the whole day, 20 hours and he campaign a few. That chap works very hard, like many of our colleagues. It's not easy. Campaigning is hard work. But what I notice is that the Tonse Alliance candidates, they don't campaign. Because in their minds, Brian Mundubile will win. We are going to ride on the coat of Brian Mundubile. A bunch of lazy sods they are. A bunch of sad, lazy sods. There's nothing worse than a lazy politician. Oh, I'll tell you something else. There's nothing worse than a lazy politician that wants to be elected but chooses not to campaign. Oh, drives me nuts. So you got a bunch of people on Tonse that are hoping against hope that they will be elected on the back of Brian Mundubile and Makebi Zulu. So basically, you've got two people driving the engine of campaigning for everybody else. No, man, that's not how it works, and that's not how it's supposed to work. The way it's supposed to work is that you, as a candidate, you have to not only give of yourself, and it's very costly. Let's not even talk about the cost implications of campaigning in Zambia. Imwe, ha, winangwazaliraga. Bantu just campaigning from a money point of view. Hey. Don't mess around with politics when it comes to money. Politics will bleed you dry. There's going to be nothing left. It's just going to be you and God at the end of it. You're going to be standing with a handful of broken endeavors with not a dime or a penny or a kwacha to your name. The little you do have is pumped into your campaign, and you don't know what to do at the end of it. So aside from the fact that it's a very expensive affair, what annoys me about Tonse is that these chaps, they're just sitting at home, drinking tea, watching reruns of Mpali with that Mr. Nguzu. And can I point out here also that the only time that this so-called Tonse Alliance received a little bump in their perceived popularity was when that Nguzu endorsed them. But people don't realize that Nguzu, the actor that plays Nguzu on the hit television show Mpali, he's always supported PF. He's always been a staunch PF supporter, which there's nothing wrong with that. My point is, him endorsing Brian Mundubile was nothing new. Do you understand that? Are you getting the logic of what I'm saying? The actor that plays Nguzu on Mpali, his recent endorsement of Brian Mundubile is nothing new. Why? Because he's been endorsing PF for a very long time. He's a staunch PF supporter. But people thought that his recent endorsement of Brian was a political epiphany. People thought Nguzu came to his senses and said, you know what? I think out of these people, this is the one I want. No. The truth is, he's been a PF supporter for years. So him endorsing Mundubile was nothing new. Nothing new at all. So that was the only bump they received. The other bump was this idea that crowds went to hear Brian Mundubile. But the flip side to that is, when you really listen carefully to what Brian Mundubile says to his audience, it's a bunch of nothing. It's just fluff. It's a manifesto. It's a remixed manifesto. He basically echoes everything HH says, and then he basically says he can do it better. First, he came out and claimed that they were the architects of free education. He even has the audacity. He had the unmitigated gall to raise David Mabumba, who used to be the minister of, I think it was education. You remember David Mabumba. He's the guy that was involved in some sex scandal where he was on a video conference call with one of his chicks, and the guy pulls out his tool and starts flashing it around the screen, completely unaware that he was being recorded. Well, that girlfriend blackmailed him and said, look, if you don't give me so much money, I have a recording of you flashing your tool on camera. David Mabumba looked at the girl and said, the devil is a liar. I did no such thing. The girl said, you want to bet? You know, these chicks, they don't mess around, boy. When they've got you recorded in that compromising situation and they start asking you for money and you say no, oh, you're done. You are finished. Brian Mundubile has the audacity, the unmitigated gall, as if we would forget as Zambians. If there's one thing I know, one thing that Zambians don't forget is pornographic videos. We don't forget those, and we don't ever forgive those. Ever. You could make a pornographic video now, but in 2095, somebody's going to bring it up. Somebody's going to say, aren't you the one that flashed his tool in front of our camera? And you think we're going to, never mind that you're the Minister of Education. Point is, you flashed your tool on camera. Zambians don't forget that. But Mpundu there thought that his popularity was so white hot, his popularity was so blazing hot, that the Zambian people would overlook that tiny little infringement. Newsflash, when Brian Mundubile stood up David Mabumba, the internet went abuzz. Everybody started remembering. They started posting photographs of a shirtless David Mabumba with that blank expression on his face, and they went to town on him. That was the only time Brian introduced David Mabumba on a platform. After he saw and read the comments on social media, he ceased and desisted from ever referring to David Mabumba. But here it is. Brian gave credit to David Mabumba. The free education credit that HH recently signed into law. Brian Mundubile thinks Zambians are so dwanzy that they'll simply accept his explanation that, no, actually, we are the first ones as PF, we were the ones, the architects of free education. And the architect was this one, Brian, it was this David Mabumba. Zambians looked at Brian and said, the devil is a liar, you are lying through your teeth, and the truth is not in you, honey. We already know what the truth is. HH is the architect of free education as we know it. Come on, be real. And then Brian stands up and says, okay, all right, I'm going to do free education, except I'm going to make it better. Guys, everybody knows that this sort of thing is a work in progress. From the time that free education was announced, the system, the mechanism of it is just going to get better and better and better. The goal is to have an enlightened population. The goal is to have, to some degree, literate, that's right. A literate population. That's HH's goal. But you've got these jokers like Brian Mundubile who are trying to ride on the back of another person's accomplishment. Do you know people like that? Tell me in the comments if you know. Because people are people. Have you ever worked in an environment where somebody took the credit for something that you did? Do you know people like that? In the workplace, let's say you did something and then somebody claimed that they did it so that they can look goody-goody with the bosses, but in their hearts, they know that you did it. But they take your glory, they take your shine, okay? And they put it upon themselves and say, oh, I did that. That's what Brian did. Brian claimed free education was their idea. We can see right through you. And not only that, Chishimba Kambwili tried to say the same thing. He came out and said, no, actually free education was my idea. HH just copied me. You know, the thing with these jokers is that they don't have any shame. That's what's most disturbing about the Tonse, these boys. They don't have any shame whatsoever. They sort of take credit for what they didn't do, and they stand on the highest mountaintop and they claim that they did. Nonsense. So, here it is. Binwell Mpundu recently posted a video where he sort of described what was at stake from the standpoint of their camp. And this is very indicative of political parties that are not winning because they become desperate. Binwell Mpundu senses defeat He can see it. I can see it. I can see defeat on the horizon. The defeat of the Tonse group is imminent because the foundation is not firm. The foundation of Tonse Alliance was built on a political lie, a misguided haze, an apparition. It was a facade. It was just it was a mirage. It was a political illusion. It was like abracadabra. So because their political foundation was very weak, they can now see the cracks that are appearing in their foundation, and they're nervous because they have staked, they have placed their entire livelihood on a Tonse win. They're gamblers. They literally gambled their way into this year's election. And here's the thing. They're not strategic about it because they're not looking beyond 2026. For them, it's do or die now. This is the reason Binwell Mpundu has posted and then deleted a video where he says he's willing to kill and be killed. Now, let's analyze this statement. This is a very dangerous statement because he's basically inciting. Many of you know that PF surrogates, PF Tonse Alliance surrogates or supporters, they're very rabid people. I mean, they're like rabid dogs, mate. Do you know what a rabid dog is? A rabid dog is a dog plagued with rabies. They don't think straight, okay? These guys are like rabid dogs. So for them, this is a do or die for them. So when these people that consider themselves staunch, diehard Tonse PF supporters, when they hear Binwell Mpundu say, Binwell is ready to kill and to be killed for these 2026 elections. Side note, no election is worth being killed for. Why? Because our forefathers have already done the dying for us. Abena Kenneth Kaunda, pre-1964, those were the people that put their lives on the line for the liberation of this country. You and I are not putting our lives on the line for anything. Our forefathers have already done the heavy lifting. You know, can we be clear? So when you've got people like Binwell Mpundu who are entirely dependent on this 2026 election, not 2031. They are not interested in 2031. For them, it is die or do. If we don't get this one, we might as well all just be dead. This is Binwell's thinking. It's like that false prophet, Jim Jones. You guys know the story of Jim Jones, where he took his cult, brainwashed members of his church. He flew them all to Guyana and he started a community there. When the authorities started closing in on the Jim Jones camp, instead of being carried away by the authorities, he chose to die and to have everybody kill themselves and die along with him. This is the same attitude that these Tonse boys have. They would rather die, they would rather kill and be killed than to lose this 2026 election. I mean, look at Lily Lunatic Matambo, a woman that has lost her mind, a woman that is a figment of her own imagination. I mean, look at the things that she comes up with. Not too long ago, she says, no, HH has sensed defeat. So he's moved his family, his wife, he's exported them to England and they've bought a house. The First Lady was attending a funeral not too long ago. And this is why I say Tonse supporters are like rabid animals. Because those chaps, they believe what Lily Mutambo tells them. Lily Lunatic Mutambo. Oh, church, you know, my first lady has been evacuated. Bull roar. No, my first lady now from Chalo. Hog rubbish. But they do this because they can sense defeat. They see defeat on the horizon. You think people like Lily Lunatic Mutambo will stop at anything to not tell a lie? She will lie between here and kingdom come just to create a spin a narrative. Evil woman, that. Could you imagine Lily Lunatic Mutambo as the Minister of Information in a Tonse Alliance administration? Oh my goodness. I mean, boy, tell you what, would be awake in our sleep. But you see, all these things are an indicator. All these things tell you that the Zambian people understand and recognize that we are not going to allow this rot to take over the governance of this country. We're not. There are more people that want sanity than insanity. There are more people that want peace than chaos. There are more people that prefer the trajectory we are on now than to go back to the chaos we were once on. Oh, that's deep. I don't know where that comes from, boy. I tell you, these words, they just pop into my head. There be more with us than there be with you. And that's just the bottom line. We got 4 more days to go. Brian Mundule confidently said to his audience, "We're going to Southern Province." The president made it very clear. President Hakainde Hichilema issued a communique and said, those boys that are going to Southern Province, don't disturb them. Hands off those boys. Because whatever you do, they're going to try and... No, now this is my part. The president didn't say this. The president said, and I quote, "Hands off those, leave those boys alone to conduct their rally in Southern Province." End quote. Now I'm saying what I'm saying. The president knew, now these are my words, okay? They're not the president's words. Are we clear? The president knew that if he didn't make it clear that no one should disturb that rally in Southern Province, no one should disturb that Tonse Alliance rally in Southern Province, the president knew, and we all know, that Tonse would turn it into a tribal narrative. That was their goal. So when Brian realized that HH had green-lighted a rally in Southern Province and made it very clear that those boys are not to be disturbed, allow them to do whatever they want to do. When the HH released those words, Brian got upset. He said, if we wanted resistance, so that we can use it and say, no, these people from Southern Province, if we have to fire. That is what we wanted. Now, this HH, he's told those people that we can go there and we have free reign, we've got a blank check to do what we want there. Imagine your instruction, how is it going to help us? Because with such instructions, we can't drive a tribal narrative with such instructions. It would have been better if they stopped us. It would have been better if they banned us so that we can say, no, you see, these people, they don't allow us. Very crafty chaps. Today, there are 4 days left. Brian announced to Kuti they are going to Southern Province. They must have a rally there. Whether it's today, tomorrow, the other day, they must have. Tonse boys must conduct a rally in Southern Province. It will be to their detriment if they don't. That will be the straw that broke the camel's back. That will be the nail driven into the coffin, the political coffin of these Tonse boys. Let me explain. If they don't hold a rally in Southern Province, That's called political suicide. Or as we say in Zambia, suicide. Suicide. It's not suicide, it's suicide. If the Tonse boys don't conduct a rally in the southern province, you only political suicide. They must do it. Because if they don't conduct a rally there, they are low-key telling the Zambian people, HH goes everywhere and anywhere in this country. HH speaks Tonga, he speaks Bemba, he speaks Nyanja. What language do these guys know? HH can campaign in Northern Province, Western Province, Northwestern, Central, Eastern, anywhere he can campaign. But these Tonse boys, what do they know? They only know idioms. That's all. Idioms. Well, your idioms are not understood by everybody in Zambia. This is the reason. This is why it's important for people to understand that when you are running for president, when you are standing for president, you are not standing for a region. You must be able to traverse east, west, north, south, center, left, right, center, everywhere and anywhere. The moment you begin to segregate and no, that's not the word. Alienate, that's the word. The moment you begin to alienate a certain portion of Zambia, then you are not worthy to be called a Zambian president. I mean, this is there. Huh? Are you getting that? The moment you begin to alienate any part of Zambia as a presidential candidate, the moment you begin to we are not going to go there, then you are not worthy to be called a president of Zambia. It's better you are just an MP, a member of parliament. That one is more befitting. But we know that Brian Mundubire failed as a member of parliament there in Porokoso because he's been accused of stealing 1.5 billion kwacha meant for roads for his people. He didn't deliver. If he can steal 1.5 billion, you think Ayama reserves could happen? Could happen? Can't never. Ni all of all kuya shipwa fish shots. Nenshaya shala. Chishimba Kambwili. I wonder what language, I wonder what message Chishimba Kambwili has for the people of Southern Province. If and when the Tonse boys conduct a rally in Southern Province, and they must, that one is a must. That one they must do it. And when they do it, they must bring along Chishimba Kambwili. That tribalist Chishimba Kambwili, what message does tribalist Kambwili have for the people of Southern Province? What is he going to say there? That won't offend them. Because the moment Kambwili opens his mouth, anything and everything that proceeds out of his mouth will be offensive. So what message does he, I mean, for what, for who? For what, for why? What message does he have for the people of Southern Province? Kambwili. You must be joking. You must be joking. Jokers. Political jokers. Mulangalifya omutima mweleka twalabe mbuka twala alufyanya mukulanda. So bane, let's be clear. The choice is clear. Zambian people want sanity over chaos. We want peace over opportunistic politicians who think they can ride the gravy train on the back of some disgruntled citizens. Bwana, politics teyakwangalirako. I can tell you now. What was the last thing? Binwell Mpundu claims that his message was AI generated. Guys, let me educate you. You see, especially on Facebook, any artificial intelligence content that is posted, especially on Facebook, I'm sure all these other platforms have the same thing. It clearly shows a watermark there on top. It says AI content. Facebook has made it very easy for you and I to detect artificial intelligence content or Langula AI generated content. It's very easy. We no longer have to guess. We no longer have to look at a video and say, Bwana, there's a watermark. Mark Zuckerberg has invested in a feature that simply tells you, above the video, it simply says to you, AI content. End of story. But Binwell Mpundu thinks you and I are Dwanzi. Binwell Mpundu thinks that our elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. Binwell thinks that our cheese has slidden off our cracker. But brother doesn't know we are as clued in as clued in. We see right through you. You're a liar and the truth is not in you. Binwell, shameless liar. And I'll tell you what, for inciting violence, because all it takes is just one idiot to listen to Binwell Mpundu and say, I'm ready to die. I'm ready to kill or be killed. All it takes is just one guy with a gun and Binwell Mpundu's influence to go in a crowd of people and just kill people. All it takes is just one person. One. It doesn't take an army of people, just one person. So because of that, Binwell Mpundu should be arrested. Don't allow that chap to get away with it. That is not a simple thing. When you incite that type of violence where you say you are ready to kill and be killed for politics? Well, what about the day after politics? What about the day after voting? Doesn't the sun come up the day after polling? When they announce the President Hakainde Hichilema, and I'm confident that we are going to win these elections. When they announce HH as winner of his second term, doesn't the sun come up again? Doesn't the bus come around to your area and pick you up and take you up for work? Huh? Doesn't the DSTV subscription, doesn't it ping on your phone? Doesn't it do that? What's my point? My point is life goes back to normal. There's no reason to die and kill someone for politics. I mean, for what? For who? For what? For why? These are the people we don't need in our communities. We don't need them. They are purveyors of chaos. And we need to put a line through their names instead of under it. All right.
As we conclude today's discussion, remember that every major story has different perspectives, and understanding those perspectives helps us become better informed citizens. The purpose of this channel is not only to report or comment on events, but always to educate and encourage respectful discussions and promote critical thinking based on public available information. Whether you agree or disagree with today's topic, we encourage you to express your views respectively in the comment sections. Health debate is part of democracy, provided it remains respectful and constructive. If you learned something new today, please support the channel by liking this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You can also explore our playlists featuring Zambian documentaries, parliament highlights, trending stories, educational content, and more. Thank you for spending your time with us today. Until next time, stay informed, stay respectful, and remember, knowledge is most powerful when it is shared responsibly. God bless you, God bless Zambia, and I will see you in the next video.